go. Here we go. It's showtime.
You're live.
Are we live? I don't know, but here we go. Hey, I can see everybody. Time to tune this down. If I can find out how to do it. Thank you, Weatherman, for the share. Could you hear us on there, Weatherman? You shared it, you liked it.
Jared, I like it.
Let me know if you can hear us, everybody. We're about to get started on Real Estate 101, which we do every Wednesday at 1 o'clock, no matter what, Weatherman.
No matter
I
what.
want to give a shout out to the Weatherman today, the most prepared man in real estate. Look at them notes. House flipping, creative financing. I like it, Weatherman.
I keep it all stored up here.
I want to give a big shout out to our in-studio guest today. One of them is our sponsor, Mr. Scott Abernathy from Reliant Property Management.
Hey guys.
Which also was up for Realtor of the Year. You know that?
You got ripped off. You should have got that. We've also got a very wise young gentleman named Brad Smotherman in here today, who has really built quite a niche, more in the Nashville area, correct?
It's getting more and more that way.
Okay. So today, got to give a shout out. Weatherman, give our shout outs. Our sponsors, other than my favorite nerd.
We want to start off with our favorite lender, and our hearts and prayers are with you today. And here's some great things to Belinda Ehringer at Iberia Mortgage. She is definitely the go-getter in your mortgage business. So if you're looking for a great lender, definitely give Belinda a call. She'll definitely take care of you, as she always takes care of ours. And one of our good buddies and the #1 trout fisher in all of this area,
He is. He
Roy Frazier with Farm Bureau Insurance. And Tommy, as he already said, a Realtor of the Year nominee, Scott Abernathy.
We don't have his sign up here. We got Iberia. We got Roy's. We need your sign.
We
dude.
knew he was
It's
coming.
coming.
We
We
knew he
gotta
was
get
coming.
it.
We got the next best thing.
You got me.
Got him.
Exactly.
Is it true you're stepping away from all the association stuff? Is this your last year?
It's my last year as a board member of the Middle Tennessee Association of Realtors. Yes.
So all of our thousands of viewers, if y'all don't want him to step down, we need you to email us, write us to keep him on board.
Got to do. We can't do it without you.
Can't
buddy.
do it without
Can't
you.
do it without you, buddy.
We're liable to lose our jobs now.
So every Wednesday we bring some relative topic about real estate, unless it's in the later part of the year. We got a little fancy with relationship talks. Please make sure you can hear us, by the way. We're a little bit back further than normal. Please like, please share. We want to get the message out that me and the Weatherman,
That's me.
we want to reach 130,000 people on our show. So today we're bringing something a little bit different because Brad Smotherman here, he was in the office the other day and he said something to someone that really resonated with me. And I thought, man, I need to get that dude on the show. He was talking about real estate mortgages or real estate financing options. And usually if me and Weatherman have somebody looking for a house, we're going to send them over to a lender.
Right.
He referred to that as working within the box.
In the box.
In the box, he focuses on out of the box. So what is out of the box financing options? What does that mean?
I'm
And
putting-
please feel free to ask questions because he's going to talk about flipping, creative finance. Scott Abernathy with us is a buy and hold strategist. So we should have an interesting panel today.
So we have the mastermind here, which is fantastic.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
You know, creative finance and like working, you have in the box, which is you guys are selling a house and you have a buyer that is either paying cash for the house or they're getting a mortgage. And there's definitely nothing wrong with that. You know, what I do outside of that is based on when I started in real estate, I really didn't have the ability to go pay cash for a house. And I had the ability to get one mortgage at a time, which is tough to scale and do that way.
Right.
You know? And so from that perspective, I had to find another way. Okay. And there are ways to buy property. I mean, I bought property with 0% owner financing. I bought property with no payments, no interest. I bought a property where we're taking over payments on loans. And then we are also, we work with a lot of private money. So I try to stay away from banks as much as I can.
I want to give a few shout outs. I apologize. Jamie Stillman, thank you for watching. Jolene Adams, thanks for tuning in.
Cut it all.
Brother Woodall on here. Hey, everybody, please ask us some questions. So,
Hey, what? You said no interest, no payment. Did I hear that right?
Yes, you did.
I need about 12 of those loans today. When can we start?
tell us how would somebody, if they were to find a house, they don't have any credit, they don't have job history, how can they get a loan?
You know, there's a couple of ways. Within the creative real estate sector, you have two main ways that you can buy property. The first is buying subject to an underlying mortgage.
Right.
So to put it in context, you know, I'm a real estate flipper, you know, and I say I'm a massive investor, I'm not a passive investor. So I like big pops of cash as opposed to monthly streams of cash flow. And my interest in creative finance is only based on how can I buy more houses and how can I do it as safely as I can. So to talk about creative finance, if someone wanted to buy a house without using their credit and without using cash, buying subject to an underlying mortgage is first the easiest way to do that. So we do a lot of direct marketing to people that have house problems. So we're really in the motivated seller business. We're not in the house business. If I could do this with dump trucks, I would do it with dump trucks, okay? So in context of a deal, if someone calls and they have a $100,000 house.
Hey, let's talk, you mail out, let's say, how many pieces of mail may go out?
Right now we're doing 40,000 a month.
40,000 mailers. Now, how many different areas could this go to?
That's all of Nashville Metro, and we're looking at opening up to the Dallas-Fort Worth market in the next 3 months.
So we got 40,000 mail pieces going out. How many people will you get a response back from?
About 3% will give us some kind of a response, so about 1,200 calls per month of people wanting to sell property. Now, of course, within that, you don't have everyone that fits within what we're trying to do, but we have, right before we got on here, somebody had a hotel in Nashville they wanted $6.5 million for. So, you know, it's amazing. There's no asset class that we do not get calls from because we're mailing vacant land, commercial, multifamily, residential houses, I mean, everything.
How hard is it for just a regular old dude, kind of like this guy, to start something like you're doing? So what we're hearing is we see all these things on TV and it sounds great, but obviously you can back up what you're saying because what you're doing is working and you're definitely very successful at it. Is it very easy for somebody just like me to say, okay, I'm gonna do this tomorrow? Or does it take a strategist? Does it take sitting down with somebody like you? Because obviously you talk very educated. You're very smart.
Smart.
I mean, you're sitting by the smartest guy we know.
Favorite nerd.
But, so, is this something a regular person can do, or does it definitely take some, what do you gotta have, some training or something like that?
So what I would say to that is, if you have a vision, so you have a clear-cut vision on what you're hoping to accomplish, and maybe that's you buy one rental house a year, or you want to buy 100 houses a year. You know, you have a vision, you find a mentor that is doing what you're hoping to do in the future, and then you have a plan and then implement. Okay, so as long as we go through that, anybody can do it. You know, I'm no smarter than anyone else, but you know, I decided, you know, about 6 or 7 years ago, I was going to be an investor, or I was going to be on my deathbed asking the doctor if he had a house he was hoping to sell. You know, and that's the determination factor and grit really makes up for everything
Hey,
else.
one of our smarter listeners is wanting to know, what does buying subject to an underlying mortgage mean? You're sitting right next to him. You can ask him these
You
questions.
said you wanted questions. I want to ask questions.
Okay.
Is that like consumable loans? Would that be a consumable
No,
loan?
so to put it in context of a deal, if someone calls me with a $100,000 house and they owe 65, okay, and they are hoping to walk away with $5,000, okay, what I'm going to attempt to do is say, you know what we're going to do is we're going to leave your financing in place, you deed me the house, and I'll get you your walkaway money of $5,000, okay? The mortgage remains in place temporarily after closing. We do not formally assume that loan. And so the problem that comes with that is most notes and deeds of trust have what's called a due on sale clause, which says that the bank has the right, but not the obligation to call that loan due, okay?
If they call it due, then you just,
Then, I mean, we're selling this house anyway.
Sure.
So, I mean, if we have that kind of an issue, we're gonna either bring private money in or pay cash, pay it off or whatever. But we do those deals all the time. So we're not formally assuming the loan. We continue to make payments on that loan, but the mortgage remains in our seller's name. We get title.
and chances are, and I hate to, they're not talking about anybody's downfall, they're probably behind on the payments, they probably don't have the credit to buy another house. So you're actually just pretty much getting them away from that house, giving them some cash. It buys you time, you pay the note until you flip it up and sell it.
That's correct.
Okay.
So most of the people that we're working with, the house is the biggest problem in their life.
Sure.
They either inherited a property they don't want, they have a job transfer, they're behind on payments, they're going through a divorce, something that is making this house a real problem for them.
Now, our smart guy over there, do you have any questions? You look very inquisitive.
Yes, so you're not actually wrapping around a mortgage here. You're just paying them cash. You're recording the deed, but telling them not to tell the mortgage company.
Now,
right?
smart people, what does wrapping around a mortgage mean exactly?
Okay, that would be leaving the mortgage in place, and then the people selling you the property would take a mortgage from you, and you would pay them as well as their first mortgage.
That's correct.
You're not doing that. You're just paying them a cash payment, moving on,
Right.
but not telling the mortgage company.
So whatever equity that they're looking to get out of the deal, we pay them that in cash and then continue to make payments until we decide what we're doing with it. And if you're a rental guy, I mean, you can do those deals and have it as a rental portfolio. You can do those deals and take it retail and cash out, or you can do those deals and sell it with owner financing.
Do you rent any of them?
I haven't. I was going to take my first rental. We bought a house off of Church Street, and I decided to sell it.
Do you know anybody that is doing this from a rental
Oh,
perspective?
yes, absolutely.
So what kind of loan calls do they have? What percentage?
Out of everyone that I know, I have my mentor, my first mentor, David Alexander. He's out of Dallas, and he's done hundreds of these. He never had a loan call.
This is the coolest thing I've heard.
And so what
It's cool-
happens
it's
is
cool
when
thing
you
I
get
heard.
two smart guys in the room, we get trumped. Is what happens.
I thought you were talking about us.
Hey, we get trumped. Great questions and great stuff, man. It's very, very.
So, hey, you need to ask more questions, smart guy over there.
Yeah.
Let's talk about if I wanted to go out and get an investor to help me do this. What are the marketable terms I should expect to get from a private money lender?
Okay, so all around Nashville, you have private investors that this is what they professionally do. They are asset lenders, so they do not care anything about who you are as a credit score or anything like that. Now, they can't do owner-occupant loans under Dodd-Frank. Okay, so these have to be investor loans.
Let's say
Ooh,
so let's just talk about Dodd-Frank. Was that what you said?
Correct.
So kind of what is that? Just kind of just a quick definition.
You know, the Dodd-Frank Act was done in the early 2000s after Sarbanes-Oxley to limit the ability to have private financing in the banking world. And it is the biggest thorn in the side of most bankers that I talk to.
Okay. Because most people, this first question we're going to ask, who Dodd-Frank?
Right.
It's grossly overcomplicated to be able to explain here.
I understand that.
There's a whole bunch to it.
Big problem for real estate and finance as a whole.
Got you.
So keep going.
What?
Where the hell were we? with it?
Dodd-Frank got it. See how bad? See what trouble
Dodd-Frank got us.
Dodd-Frank.
We're having trouble with
Dodd-Frank,
Dodd-Frank. So what
Dodd-Frank.
we were talking about
You're
is a
talking
lender,
yeah.
a private money person giving
Oh, yeah,
money,
private
they
money
can't be
guy.
owner occupants.
So as far as terms, you're looking at anywhere from 9 to 15% annually. You're looking at probably a loan to value of around 70%. So there's a chance
So
that
they
you would
want
have.
30% now.
No. We're talking loan to value. So if you're
Okay,
buying,
so-
it's not loan to cost. If you're buying with real equity, then you could have no cash in the deal.
Who determines what the value is?
Well, they could look at it. I mean, the people that I have, I actually talked to my private money guy the other day on a $550,000 loan on a small real estate development. And he called me and said, hey, we're good for that, but, can you send me something on it? I'd like to see a plat or something. He was going to fund it and never even know where it was. So, I mean, you get a track record going. They don't care what the deal is as long as they know you. But to begin with, I mean, they're going to want to see some comparable sales in the area. What do you hope to invest in it as far as rehab, if anything? And, what are your plans to do it? because most of these loans are going to have a 1 to 2 year term with a balloon at the end of it. So this is for flipping. This is not for buy and hold.
So you're saying your terms are probably gonna be 9 to 15%, you need to put 30% into it. So the people that have a problem with 9 to 15% still need to realize that's probably the cheapest money they're gonna be able to get.
That's true, and if that interest rate kills your deal, you didn't have a deal to begin with. So, if I'm buying a house that's worth $100,000 for 60, and I bring in my private money guy at 60, would I've paid another $5,000 for that house? Probably. Well, now it's just an interest.
Oh, sure, you're not paying closing costs or a lot of those things, right? I mean, not majorly if you want to get a loan and do all that stuff. So you take away some fees there as well, correct?
Well, on the lower end, I mean, with bank financing, you have appraisals and doc fees and all that stuff. Where these private money guys, they don't.
They don't do origination fees or anything?
No.
So how long will they allow you to have this money at 9 to 15%?
One of my guys is 2 years, and then the other guy is 1 year, and then it's 3 points in addition to the loan if it goes over 1 year.
That's not unreasonable. I mean,
No.
think about what it costs to get money.
Yeah.
If somebody goes to get a traditional loan, it's $5,000 to $10,000
Especially
just
for
to
that
borrow the
kind of
money.
property.
Yeah, I mean,
So let's just
he's
say
talking
you
about
buy-
just basically paying interest.
Let's say you buy a $500,000 house, your guy comes in, you're gonna flip it. Takes you 6 months to flip it. At 10, let's just do 10%. That's
Right. $50K a year.
50K. So you, for that 6 months, so you owe him $25,000.
Correct.
For investing in that.
Correct.
Property. And then you turn that 550 into 750, and then it's
That's right.
That, my friend, is creative finance.
Okay, my friend, let's talk about something that you're talking about. Let's get into flipping.
Okay.
You've got a passion for flipping. You called it not passive income, massive income.
Correct.
So what is it? Tell us right now. I think everybody wants to get into house flipping, but I don't think they understand how hard it is, how dangerous it is. So tell us your opinion of what we need to be looking for if me and Weatherman want to go out there and start flipping houses.
With this creative financing.
Well, the first thing that I would say is have a good grip on values because, I've been in the Murfreesboro market for 6 or 7 years, but Nashville for about 2 years now. And I lost a lot of deals trying to figure out what values were in Nashville because I had people calling me with an 1,100-foot house that here would go for 110 or 120. I didn't realize, I knew Nashville was doing better, but I didn't realize that house was a $200,000 or $220,000 house. And so having a grip on values, having some idea of what construction cost is, but really knowing how to buy is the most important. We want to buy things that are at a minimum a 30% discount of as-is value in general.
I got to answer a quick question. I will interrupt. I apologize quite a bit. But David Estes, are there hard money lenders for new construction? There's definitely investors out there. We're dealing with some investors right now that are giving our builders money. They just want a guaranteed return, interest only. Quentin Rudzak,
Yeah, I know Quentin. He's working with Mitchell.
Okay, he said that's really cheap
Hey,
for
Quentin.
hard money.
I've met several of them. I know a lot of folks.
Hey, thank you, Quentin, for watching. So I apologize. Whenever people have questions, I like to get engagement going along.
Well,
So
talking about the flipping, just give me an example, and you can definitely vouch on them. I sold 2 properties today, and when you're in a seller's market, everybody overvalues. So us as real estate agents aren't seeing the properties that you're seeing.
That's correct.
Because I'm not mailing out 40,000 mailers a month. I'm waiting till they hit the MLS. They're $40,000 overpriced.
Right.
And then there's no money to be made. 2 of them today were 178. They're probably 140 houses.
Right.
So we're $48,000 off. So in order for us to get out there, we also, instead of having creative finance, we have to have creative thinking to be able to get to them before they hit the market.
Yes, I have in my entire career bought 1 house off the MLS
I understand that.
for investment.
I understand that.
And it was in an up and coming area in North Nashville, and it ended up working out well, but it by far was not the best deal I've ever done.
So look, break down like if you were to educate all these thousands of people that are going to watch this,
Hundreds.
break hundreds of thousands. What would you say if you had to do a little code for flipping? What would if you could do this in just a few minutes? How would you educate people on what they need to do?
The first thing is you're not going to find the best deal unless it's off market. So a good friend of mine, he was just looking on Craigslist and somebody posted it 9 o'clock at night, I'm getting foreclosed on next week, I need to sell my house. And he ended up buying a, I don't know, 1,200 foot brick house in Murfreesboro for 70 grand, and is probably worth, I don't know, 130, 140. So you don't have to do this massive amount of marketing to get the deals, but you do if you want to get 10 to 15 deals a month. Okay.
Sure.
So if you're looking to do, a deal per quarter or something like that, you can do that. Another friend of mine, he is just looking at the Liz Pendens, the foreclosure auction list. That is public record. He writes a handwritten letter. He sent out 15 letters. He called me saying, hey, I've got a deal. I don't know what to do with it. And we bought a house on Jones. It's 1,400 feet for 85.
Wow.
You know,
Recently or?
last week.
Wow.
Last week.
Okay, I've got a question. One of my best friends, Scott Nagy's on here. What sort of ROI or lump sum are you looking for typically to justify your risk? I understand it depends on each deal, but what does your typical flip look like? Thank you, Nagy. Tell Rachel I said happy
So
birthday.
now we have 3 smart people in this
We
conversation.
got 3 of the smartest people I know officially on here now.
So I would say that the profit margin is a function of the amount of time and how capital intensive the deal is. So and I was telling Tommy and Scott earlier, I can pay $100,000 for a $100,000 house if the terms are right. Okay, so that's not necessarily a profit margin kind of thing, but in general, we're buying at 60 to 70% of as-is value. So if a house is worth 100, then we're paying 60 to 70,000 for that house. We'll have a cost of sale of 10. So that difference there is the general profit. But I tell you, in Nashville right now, if you're doing a gut down rehab, like down to studs, I mean, friends of mine are making 100,000 a house all day.
How much? Give us the numbers. Like, what are they paying for it? What are they putting in it to make $100,000?
Okay, so a deal that I'm intimately familiar with. The house was purchased for $95,000. They put about $40,000 to $50,000 in it. This is in Woodbine, and sold it for $285,000.
Okay, guys, remember, he's making this sound really easy.
Oh,
He
absolutely.
puts a lot of work, time, energy, resources into finding these deals, don't you?
I liken it to being a surgeon. So, people say, well, that surgeon made $1,000 an hour. Well, it took him 15 years to get the mindset and the skills to be able to go in there and do that.
Sure.
And, any business is the same way. It's easy now. It wasn't easy when I started. And the biggest problem that I made at the beginning was not having the correct mindset to know that I could do it.
Have you lost money on any of your deals?
I have never lost money on the deal.
That's a powerful statement.
Scott, how would you like to interject here with us? Scott is building up a big rental portfolio. He's more of a passive income person. Do you have any questions or anything you'd like to add to this?
I like the massive income concept also.
Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with passive. I mean, you have tax benefits and appreciation in the future. The thing about what I do is it is a full-time job where somebody can have a rental property and a great manager to handle those investments and do it more passively. It really takes a lot of time and energy especially if you're managing subs. I mean, I've found needles on job sites
Oh,
before.
sure.
I mean, you hope it's not the electrician.
Okay, I've got a quick question. I'm sorry, I'll forget all this stuff. The biggest fear people like me and Scotty over there have is we're overpriced.
Yeah.
We're scared to buy something. We're scared to invest in it. What is your thoughts on that right now?
So being that we
Chicken shit guy.
being that we're continually in the buy and sell mode, we really don't care what kind of a market it is. So if we are buying at, say, on average 65% of as-is value, and we have a 10% drop, we're still in a good equity position. We have a 20% drop, we're still going to make something. If we have a 50% drop, then the whole world is in a calamity, and we're not the only ones that are in trouble. So, and then we can turn it into a rental, as kind of a backup plan. So,
My business is much the same way. I mean, it's a buy and hold strategy. It doesn't really matter what the market does in the future. You're going to have it for 10, 15, 20 years. It's long-term play.
Right. So let's, without trying to get too deep, don't want to embarrass you, don't want to say nothing. Kind of give you your background, as far as you have a background in finance, you have a background in real estate. I mean, did you work at Hardee's and you just said, man, I've got to get out of here? Or kind of tell us what got you kicked off, because did your life line up like anybody, doesn't matter what you are in life, can go from here to here as long as you put in the work?
Right. I went to college and majored in accounting.
Okay.
And I went to work in tax for about 90 days before I realized that I could not do that. And through college, I had sold real estate and managed a model home for a builder developer.
Okay.
And I saw what the crash did to him. So it made me ultra conservative in what I do. But it's one of those things that I think anyone can do it. I mean, the accounting background doesn't really help me.
Right.
I have friends that I'm mentoring to get into the business, and one guy's selling furniture right now.
Okay.
You know, and he will do 3 or 4 deals a year, you know, this year, based on what he's doing, the output that he's doing right now.
Well, I've got a question. Me and Scotty always go back and forth on this. Me and that Scotty, not my other Scotty that's on here. What do you recommend right now? If you own real estate, do you recommend paying down debt with your cash, or do you think we should be buying more real estate? Because my buddy Scott Nagy is going to say, buy all you can with as little money down as you can possibly buy.
I would agree with that if we're buying equity in day one. So I do not believe in paying retail for anything ever. And that's kind of like, I think there's 2 really big misnomers in real estate investment. Number one, that it takes money to make money, and that is completely false.
So you get me on that all the time. It gives me hell about my thinking all the time.
And then secondly, that you can't buy equity consistently.
Let's
And
go
that's-
back, because this right here is very interesting.
Hey,
to
this
me.
is some nuggets, folks.
This
These
right here is a
nuggets.
nugget. It
And
does
for
not-
$29.95 a month, you can call us with full access
So-
to him.
so-
Same commercial.
So it does not take your own money to be able to buy real estate. Doesn't take money. What does that mean to people like me and my friend over there?
Well, you guys have a lot of money, so you should be buying all you can.
There you go.
Okay, well, let's just say if we don't have enough money.
Okay.
Let's say if we were tapped out. Let's say if we can't buy anything. What did you mean by that? It does not take money to be able to go out and buy this.
So if someone has, again, that $100,000 house, they owe 70, they're 2 payments behind, they just want out, and if we can catch up their 2 payments and pay their closing costs, they're done. That does take some money, but it's, you know, let's say it's $3,000 or $4,000 to catch up the payments and pay the closing cost. I mean, I don't know many people that can't go and either borrow $3,000 or $4,000 or bring somebody on as a partner in the
This guy.
deal to make that deal work.
What is the politically correct term for owner financing? They don't want to call it owner financing, you're saying, right? The people that own a house.
So
So that's what we're talking about, though. We're talking about if somebody owns what would an owner financing deal look like? How would you
right,
say?
and that's a second form of creative finance. So the first one, buying subject to an underlying mortgage, so taking over payments and getting the deed. The second one is real owner financing. So someone owns it free and clear, and we're able to talk about this in the terms of some now and some later.
Right.
So can we give you some of the cash at close and some of the cash after closing? Do you think something like that would work?
And you don't know until you ask.
Well, that's right. And really a lot of these people, they're going to have major tax issues if they sell it for cash in
Yes.
year one. So to them, it's to their benefit. Let me make sure I'm telling this right. That's correct. The last owner financing deal that we did was a duplex in North Nashville where the guy was an attorney and was deathly concerned with his tax issues. And so he did not want the cash.
We got a few questions. I'm sorry. We got some people wanting to know who you are. Brad Smotherman. Tell them who you are again.
Brad Smotherman. I was born and raised in Rutherford County, went to MTSU. I got my undergraduate degree in accounting, realized very quickly that was not the life for me, and subsequently went into real estate investment full-time in 2010.
So 7 years roughly.
Yeah.
David Ross, is there a reason we can't see Abernathy on the screen?
He's too pretty.
He's too pretty
Way
for
too
us,
pretty.
David Ross. Quentin's asking about wholesale homes.
Yes.
You can tell them why if you want.
So
We don't have enough room for everybody. My ego is too big to let Abernathy up here.
So wholesale homes.
wholesaling is a term where it's not really creative finance, but it's a way to buy and sell without having cash in the deal. Okay, so if you go out and get a smoking deal, so $100,000 house, you get it under contract for 50. You at that point have what's called equitable interest in the property. So the seller can only sell to you, but that interest is saleable. So you can sell that contract. So if it's worth 100 and somebody has it under contract for 50 and calls me and says, I have this property, I want $20,000 for this contract, yeah, I'll pay them 20 grand for the contract for finding the deal. I buy the contract, I close on it for 70, seller gets their 50, wholesaler gets their 20, and I have a good deal.
And if y'all remember that in the real estate market, that happened several years back with the short sales and things like that. A lot of people were doing that wholesale on the short sales,
Yeah.
being the middleman, working out with the bank, then turn around, putting it on the market,
Right.
and selling. And so they were getting their money.
So not to give away too many of your secrets, if somebody wants to find hard money lenders, if they want to get in the game, they don't have any money, but they do have hustle and they want to make money, how would you tell somebody out there to get started in doing this?
So if you are local, I would start at the Real Estate Investors of Nashville group meetings, which is monthly. And so it's an association of investors. So I think it's $125 a year. And they have people like actively pitching, I have too much cash. I mean, these hard money guys, their biggest problem is they have too much cash.
Sure.
I can't imagine such a problem, but I hope to have that problem one day. But if they have their cash is a depreciating asset. So they have to get that cash back out at a rate of return to keep their portfolio growing. Okay. And so you can start there, or if you're in a different city, then I would suggest, those investor association groups are all across the country. So go to those.
Nothing in Rutherford County that you know of.
There's a Rutherford
Are you
County
doing one,
subgroup.
Scotty?
Yeah, the Tennessee Real Estate Investors, it's a sister organization to REN. There's a meeting in Brentwood, then do Murfreesboro. Matter of fact, the next meeting in Murfreesboro is the 4th Saturday this month at Excellent Solutions.
What's the date? Can we get you in that? We need to have something where you two people are educating people like me and Weatherman, and whoever else we
I
can
do
get.
some of that at Tennessee REN.
Well, I'm speaking at the Rutherford County REN group. I believe it's March 3rd. And Elliot, the guy that runs that group, he manages that. I think it's the 3rd, but we'll check on that.
And I want to ask you, and you don't have to answer, so don't feel obligated to answer.
I'm an open book. I enjoy
Sure.
it, and most of it's on the internet.
Sure.
So I mean, I'm just happy to.
Do you hold real estate? Do you have any real estate that like yours? I mean, as far as, or you're in the game that you don't want to hold it, you want to move it.
So my perspective on that is I'm in what's called the churn. So you take the old school butter churn, you throw in the cream or whatever, the sugar and all that, and you come out with a great product. I'm going from asset to cash as quickly as I can.
Okay.
Without burying cash at a rate of return.
Do you have to make a certain amount to go from asset to cash?
We determine that whenever we buy, but whenever we buy, it is knowing that it is going to be for sale.
What if it does not go the way you thought?
Well, buying the equity position that we are, I can't imagine a scenario unless we have a 30 or 40% drop literally overnight.
Yeah, you're pretty safe for what you do. You're conservative on your side.
I think it's tough to mess up buying at a 35% discount.
I agree.
So I've got this question. I know we've been going a little while, but my buddy Kurt Wade was in here the other day. I don't know if you know Kurt or not, but he's a city councilman. But what's it going to take before in Murfreesboro we can start buying and tearing down and building too? Are you on any of that? Do you?
Not in Murfreesboro because the numbers don't work, but in Nashville.
Yeah.
Well, it's such an easy problem to solve.
Sure.
Do a blanket rezone. Okay, council guys.
Here we go, Captain.
Hey, here we go. We're
Just to let you know, this is not backed by GTT.
Thank you, Weatherman.
But other than that, go ahead and floor is yours.
Brad Smotherman's opinion only.
I just
Do
kidding.
a blanket rezoning where you want this infill development to happen to where single lots then become build twos.
Ooh.
And we can go in and pay $100,000 or $150,000 for a house, tear it down, and build something great and create a nice community downtown. It would not be difficult at all.
What do you think about that, Scotty?
I think you're agree with that. Would you agree with that, or you don't like that?
You
Well,
frowning. Why are you looking so pissed off?
Oh, no, not at all.
What are you mad at?
It's good stuff.
I'm thinking about the unintended consequences of affordable housing.
Well, and that's true. It's one of those things that people want affordable housing, and the easiest way to create affordable housing is through density. It's on the development side, whether it's land development, tract development, or not. You know, the more density, the cheaper the houses are going to be. But I mean, we're going to have a situation in which, in my opinion, downtown is going to deteriorate unless we have some kind of a blanket overlay that creates density in that area.
Why do we not have it right now?
I don't know. You know, Nashville had areas that was always zoned for 1 and 2 families.
That worked out for them very well.
Yes. And so you had areas, Nashville, the redevelopment happened first and east because we had that tornado come through and
Right.
gave the whole area a facelift. And then Germantown hit in 2012. And Germantown was one of those areas that historically was very low income. It was not a safe area, but it had proximity to downtown that was very good. And so we have those same scenarios in Murfreesboro, not as bad as Germantown was,
Right.
because Germantown was very dangerous. But what Germantown had that downtown Murfreesboro doesn't is they had zoning already in place for you could take one house and build 2.
Is
Yeah.
it hard to get that rezoned?
Yes. Here it is.
I would have to think so. I can't imagine beginning to start that now. You have in my opinion, the very tip of the spear, and I've never met this person, but Melanie Davenport has done a fantastic
I'm
job.
trying to get Melanie Davenport on
Kicking
my
it.
show.
And Bill Yates is obviously very involved with her
Yes,
downtown.
yes,
and
I've
he's a
heard
very
that.
knowledgeable guy.
So, I mean, they have been the tip of the spear to kind of kick that area off, but, my understanding is, I mean, they're getting, 180, 200 a foot?
They're doing very well because it takes somebody with big guts to be the first one.
That's right, and it takes a lot of money to do those rehabs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I hope they're doing well at those numbers. I think that they probably are, but, it's probably not what we would call affordable housing either.
Not exactly right.
Before we shut her down, we've been going a long time. Mr. Abernathy, do you have any questions? Is there anything you'd like to add as a panel member?
Well, no, I think I've learned an awful lot, and I love the whole idea of the wrap stuff. I would reiterate to your audience, though, that this is not easy money. What he's doing is a lot of work,
We don't have
but
to
it's
go
worth
negative.
it.
We don't have to go negative.
Well, they also told us he
I'm
don't
not
like
being negative,
he don't
being
buy anything from
realistic.
MLS, so doesn't
So
help us a lot.
I guess
but
what my point
true.
in even mentioning that is you do some wholesaling also, right?
Starting to more, yes.
If somebody doesn't want to put this kind of work into it but are still looking for a deal,
Yeah.
there are wholesalers out there like him that'll sell you these deals. Now, you're not going to get as good a deal as he did, but it's still a good deal.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't
Brad,
have
do
to go through all this work. You
Brad,
have
do
to
you
do the
put
work.
any of your stuff on your Facebook page, or is it all?
Very little. I mean, most of everything that I do is off market, even on the sale side. So we're doing less and less taking it completely retail. And we have investors that are looking for the stuff that we have, and we just sell it off. I mean, in fact, we bought a house this morning at 10, and I'm waiting on a contract now to sell it because a friend of mine called me and was like, "Hey, do you have anything?" I was like, "Well, actually, this morning we picked this up," and he's like, "Well, I'll take it."
Wow.
Without looking at it?
Yes.
Is
He's on the way.
Nashville that crazy of a market that it's a sight unseen, without a doubt? Probably one of the hottest markets in the United States, would you say, or one of them?
Absolutely.
Okay.
In terms of it being crazy, I mean, anything works at a price.
Right.
But Nashville, I'm starting to see some leveling off, and that's
Yeah.
the market as a whole. I think that's healthy because we've been on a rocket ship for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
I don't think that's sustainable, but buying sight unseen. This guy knows me, and he
Okay.
knows that I've told him the truth on other deals, and it's there. So.
Okay.
Where do you see our local market here going, in your opinion?
I'm not an economist, and I'm surely not a fortune teller. I think it's
Just
kind
say
of.
great. It looked good for many years to
Dan,
come.
to you, does it matter? Because you can
It
make-
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
There was a time up until about 1.5 to 2 years ago that I preferred a buyer's market.
Really?
Yeah. Because for me, my marketing costs went way up whenever it became a seller's market.
That makes
But
sense.
then my holding costs went way down.
Yeah.
So I don't care what kind of a market it is, we're going to be buying regardless of what happens. But I feel like we're going to kind of stable off. I don't see any kind of calamity in the future. I think Middle Tennessee as a whole is a great market, and we're blessed as all get out to be here.
I think so too.
Do you have anything you'd like to add?
I concur with his assessment on the market that nobody's got a fortune or crystal ball, but I see good things continuing on in the Murfreesboro, Nashville area and our market as well.
And the surrounding 30-mile radius of Nashville. I think it's not Murfreesboro, Williamson County, Aston City, Mount Juliet.
In your urban and suburban areas.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
With a minute, anything you'd like to add?
Man, they're way too smart for me.
They are.
I
I agree. They're very smart guys.
I don't want to dumb it down. This is a good episode. I'm glad I thought.
Thank you, Weatherman. I like it when I get you on board. So everybody, every Wednesday at 1 o'clock, we do Real Estate 101. We want to make it relative, easy, understood topics for our audience of Murfreesboro, Tennessee. My goal is to reach 130,000 people. That's why I need you to like this. I need you to share this. If you have any questions about this, please post them. If you own real estate, the best property manager in the town, hey, in the mid-state is right over there, Scott Abernathy. He did have surgery today, so that's why he's off screen. If you got him over there, and of course our guy Brad Smotherman, who hey, how old are you, Brad?
Just turned 30.
30 years old, and
Me too.
I mean it's amazing the maturity, the poise, the way you carry yourself. So anybody out there, if somebody says you can't do it at that age, that's bullshit, because he's sitting there, he's living proof that it can be done. So thank you guys for coming on. Weatherman, can't do the show without you. Thank you as always. Next Wednesday we'll be back 1 o'clock right here, Thomas C. Davidson. Thank you. Thank you, kids.
That was fun.
Hey, you're welcome back.